Most men think calling a woman baby or sweetheart is enough, but those basic nicknames don't create obsession. They create predictability. What actually makes a woman feel magnetically drawn to you are the nicknames that tap into her feminine psychology, the ones that activate her curiosity, her emotional imagination, and her desire to feel chosen. Today, I'm going to reveal 5 forbidden nicknames that not only set you apart from every other man in her life, but also build a powerful emotional imprint she can't shake off. Most men underestimate the power of nicknames because they assume attraction is built through big gestures, physical appearance, or intense conversations. But in the psychology of feminine communication, the smallest words often carry the deepest emotional impact. A nickname isn't just a label, it's a micro signal that shapes how a woman feels around you. Women are highly responsive to identity cues, meaning the way you address her influences how she perceives your relationship dynamic, her importance to you, and the emotional space she occupies in your world. When you call her something unique, something only you use, you introduce a new identity she begins to associate with you. This is why nicknames have the power to soften her, excite her, calm her, or pull her closer without you even trying. Nicknames also bypass the surface level conversation that most men rely on. When you use a carefully chosen nickname, it creates a shortcut straight into emotional territory. Women are intuitive, they read between the lines. A nickname tells her not just what you think about her, but how you feel about her. It gives her a sense of being seen, acknowledged, and recognized beyond the basics. That's something ordinary men fail to understand. Words that make a woman feel unique leave a mark far deeper than compliments that are generic and overused. When a man uses the right nickname, it immediately shifts the dynamic. It sends a message that he is confident enough to define the interaction rather than waiting for her to guide it. Women find this deeply attractive because it reflects masculine decisiveness and emotional leadership. A nickname becomes a subtle form of claiming the energy between you, not in a possessive way, but in a grounded, intentional way. It tells her, "This is how I see you." And she feels both acknowledged and invited to step into that identity. Nicknames also create emotional anchors. The human brain stores memories tied to emotional words more vividly than neutral ones. When you use a powerful nickname during a meaningful moment, a playful tease, a vulnerable conversation, a moment when she feels close to you, her mind locks that connection in. Later, even when you're not with her, the memory of that nickname replays in her mind, pulling her thoughts back to you. This is why certain nicknames become addictive. They create mental loops where she remembers how she felt in your presence. Another reason nicknames matter so much is that they differentiate you from every other man she interacts with. Women are used to hearing the same compliments recycled by countless guys: beautiful, cute, sexy, or gorgeous. These words carry no depth because they don't distinguish one man from another. But when you give her a name that no other man has thought to use, you carve out a unique emotional space in her life. She begins associating that nickname exclusively with you, which is what builds attachment and eventually obsession. A well-chosen nickname also strengthens polarity. Women naturally lean into their feminine energy when they feel emotionally safe, seen, and gently guided. A masculine nickname, one spoken with confidence, calmness, and intention, encourages her to soften and express her feminine side more freely. She becomes more playful, more emotionally open, more invested in your presence. Nicknames help create that safe polarity without forcing anything or being overly direct, making the connection feel effortless and natural. Finally, nicknames matter because they reveal your emotional intelligence. A man who knows how to read a woman's energy and choose a nickname that reflects her personality, mood, or emotional state stands out. She feels understood on a deeper level, and feeling understood is one of the strongest bonding triggers for women. It creates trust, attraction, and curiosity all at once, allowing the relationship to evolve organically without pressure. Forbidden nicknames are powerful because they touch parts of a woman's emotional world that ordinary language doesn't reach. Most men think attraction is built through direct compliments or consistent communication, but the truth is that women respond much more deeply to emotional triggers than to logical expressions. A forbidden nickname works because it carries layers of meaning. It's playful, intimate, and exclusive at the same time. It bypasses her conscious thinking and taps straight into the emotions she tries to hide. These nicknames feel forbidden, not because they're inappropriate, but because they access a side of her that she doesn't reveal to everyone. Women crave emotional depth more than anything else. They want to feel chosen, unique, and desired in a way that doesn't make them look needy or desperate. When you give her a nickname that only you use, it creates a private emotional channel between the two of you. It becomes something that belongs only to your connection. This sense of secret ownership triggers curiosity and attachment. She starts wondering why you chose that name, what you see in her, and what makes her different in your eyes. That curiosity alone is enough to make her think about you far more than she expects. Forbidden nicknames also create emotional imprinting. Human beings form emotional memories around identity based cues, words, tones, or names that carry strong emotional associations. When you call her a nickname that sparks a feminine response in her, she unconsciously associates that feeling with you. This creates a loop in her mind. You say the name, she feels a certain way, and whenever she remembers the nickname later, she re experiences that feeling. This is how emotional attachment deepens even when you're not around. The nickname becomes a quiet reminder of how you made her feel. Another psychological element is exclusivity. Women are constantly observing social dynamics, always aware of where they stand in a man's life. A forbidden nickname gives her a unique identity within your world. It makes her feel like she has a special place, even if you haven't defined anything clearly. That sense of being the exception, not the rule, activates desire. It doesn't matter how independent or emotionally guarded she is. Everyone wants to feel like there's someone's special one. A forbidden nickname signals that without saying it explicitly. Forbidden nicknames also stir emotional contradictions, and contradictions are addictive. For example, calling her something mischievous and soft at the same time triggers both excitement and vulnerability. Calling her something that hints at danger or unpredictability makes her feel alive. These conflicting emotions activate dopamine and anticipation. Women become attached not to stability, but to emotional richness. A forbidden nickname creates precisely that, a mix of emotions she can't fully decode. And what the feminine mind can't decode, it keeps coming back to. There's also a power dynamic involved, and it's one women naturally respond to. A man who confidently assigns her a nickname, not harshly, not forcefully, but with calm masculine energy, signals leadership. It shows that he is grounded enough to shape the interaction instead of waiting for cues. Women find this deeply attractive because it allows them to relax into their feminine. She feels guided, seen, and emotionally directed without pressure. A forbidden nickname introduces that subtle direction and immediately shifts the dynamic in your favor. Additionally, these nicknames activate imagination, and imagination is one of the biggest sources of feminine attraction. When you use a nickname that hints at something deeper, something intimate, playful, or emotionally charged, she starts imagining the relationship dynamic behind it. She imagines what you meant, how you see her, what future moments with you might feel like. Imagination is where obsession grows. A forbidden nickname doesn't give her all the answers, it gives her questions, and those questions keep her invested. Forbidden nicknames also work because they break the script. Most men play it safe. They talk formally, they hesitate, they use generic compliments. But when you introduce a nickname that carries personality, depth, and emotional tone, you disrupt the predictable rhythm of conversation. Women instantly feel the shift. They become more alert, more present, and more emotionally engaged. The nickname becomes a symbol of the unique chemistry between the two of you, and that chemistry becomes the bond she keeps returning to. A nickname may seem like a small detail, but in female psychology, small details often create the biggest emotional shifts. Women pay attention to tone, energy, intention, and the subtle signals behind your words. When you give her a nickname, you are doing something more than addressing her. You are assigning meaning. You are defining the emotional dynamic between you and her. And the moment you define something confidently, her perception of your value instantly changes. Most men never understand how much influence they have through identity-based communication. But a man who does understand it gains a level of emotional authority that women naturally respect. The way you use a nickname subtly communicates your internal state. Women are highly intuitive. They pick up on confidence, hesitation, and emotional grounding immediately. A man who calmly introduces a nickname demonstrates that he is not seeking permission for how he sees the connection. He is taking the lead. This type of emotional leadership is rare. It signals to her that you are secure within yourself. You're comfortable expressing how you perceive the dynamic, and you're not afraid of creating intimacy. Those qualities amplify your value in her eyes without you having to do anything dramatic. A nickname also changes how she feels around you because it establishes a special identity she doesn't share with anyone else. If you're the only one who calls her by that name, she begins associating you with that unique identity. That exclusivity elevates your importance and makes you stand out emotionally. She starts seeing you as someone who understands her on a deeper level, someone who notices the sides of her that others miss. This creates a sense of intimacy and belonging that strengthens your perceived value almost instantly. Another reason nicknames shift her perception of your value is that they shape the dynamic subtly and silently. When you define her with a soft, teasing, feminine nickname, you are indirectly defining yourself as the masculine counterpart in the interaction. Women respond strongly to polarity. A feminine coded nickname allows her to relax into her feminine energy, which makes her feel more drawn to your presence. The men who master this understand that attraction isn't built through logic. It's built through emotional contrasts. You become the grounded, steady energy she responds to, and your nickname becomes the symbol of that dynamic. Nicknames also give you authority because they show emotional clarity. Many men tiptoe around women, afraid to say the wrong thing or appear too forward. But a man who assigns a nickname with intention shows that he knows what he's doing. He isn't second guessing every move. This emotional decisiveness is something women instinctively trust. It signals strength, stability, and direction, qualities associated with high-value masculine energy. When she senses this clarity, she respects you more and her attraction deepens even if she can't explain why. A nickname also influences her emotional perception because it creates comfort and familiarity. Humans bond through repeated emotional cues. When she hears that nickname from you regularly, it starts to feel natural, warm, and safe. This familiarity lowers her emotional defenses and increases her openness with you. When she feels comfortable and seen, your presence becomes something she seeks rather than something she evaluates. That shift alone elevates your value and positions you as someone who matters in her emotional world. The tone and context of your nickname also shape how she perceives your authority. A playful nickname given during a teasing moment makes her feel connected to you. A softer nickname given during a vulnerable moment builds intimacy. A confident nickname given during a flirtatious moment makes her feel desired. The same nickname can carry different emotional effects depending on how you deliver it. When you control these nuances, you naturally lead the emotional direction of the interaction, and she intuitively feels guided by your presence. Another powerful factor is how nicknames influence her internal dialogue. Women think in narratives. Their feelings are shaped not just by what happens, but by the meaning behind what happens. When you give her a nickname, she begins to interpret it through her emotional lens. She wonders why you chose it, what it means, and how you see her. This reflective process increases her emotional investment. She starts thinking about you more often, replaying conversations, and questioning what you feel for her. Whenever a man occupies a woman's internal narrative, his value rises automatically. Nicknames also highlight your emotional confidence. Instead of staying generic or formal, you are inserting a personal, intentional piece of identity into the interaction. Women admire men who aren't afraid to make emotional moves. It shows maturity, awareness, and depth. Even if she doesn't openly react, she feels the shift inside. The nickname becomes a reminder of your energy, your confidence, your tone, your presence, and that reminder shapes her perception of you every time you say it. Most men lump all nicknames into the same category, assuming that anything cute or flirty automatically builds attraction. But women experience nicknames on very different emotional levels. A playful nickname may entertain her, make her laugh, or lighten the mood, but it does not create long-lasting emotional pull. Obsession creating nicknames, on the other hand, slip into her subconscious. They attach themselves to her emotions, her imagination, and the way she interprets your presence in her life. Understanding the difference between these two types of nicknames is crucial because it determines whether she simply enjoys talking to you or whether she becomes emotionally invested in ways she can't easily explain. Playful nicknames are fun, lighthearted, and harmless. They're used by friends, coworkers, and even casual acquaintances. These are names like goofball, smarty, shorty, or random inside jokes that form during conversation. They create rapport, reduce tension, and build a sense of comfort. But they don't create depth. They don't activate feminine softness or emotional vulnerability. Instead, they keep the interaction in a friendly, surface level zone. Playful nicknames are not bad. They just don't build the level of emotional connection needed to make her think about you when you're not around. Obsession creating nicknames work differently because they target her deeper emotional layers. These nicknames tug at her feminine core, the part of her that wants to feel desired, safe, chosen, understood, and guided. They carry emotional weight, even when spoken casually. These nicknames are rare because most men don't know how to choose them or when to use them. They blend intimacy with mystery and softness with subtle dominance. When a nickname makes her feel something she hasn't felt before, it becomes unforgettable. It turns into a private emotional code that only the two of you share, and that exclusivity triggers attachment. One major difference between playful and obsession-creating nicknames is the intention behind them. Playful nicknames come from a place of fun. They express humor or light teasing. Obsession-creating nicknames come from a place of emotional leadership. They are chosen intentionally, delivered confidently, and infused with meaning. When your tone carries calm certainty, the nickname feels like you're defining her energy rather than just reacting to it. Women find this deeply attractive because it signals emotional clarity and masculine direction. It shows you're not afraid to shape the dynamic instead of waiting passively for her to lead. Another difference lies in the emotional effect they produce. Playful nicknames spark momentary amusement. They're enjoyable but forgettable. Obsession creating nicknames linger. She remembers how you said it, when you said it, and how it made her feel. These nicknames create emotional echoes that replay in her mind later. They make her associate you with warmth, desire, excitement, or softness. And because women process emotion in loops, the more she replays the nickname internally, the deeper her attachment becomes. Playful nicknames also maintain equality in the interaction. They don't shift the dynamic in any significant way. Obsession creating nicknames shift polarity. They subtly place you in a masculine role and allow her to lean into her feminine side. Women crave this polarity because it makes them feel emotionally alive. When a nickname makes her feel smaller, softer, wilder, or more cherished, even just in tone, she responds instinctively. She doesn't think, why did he call me that? She feels, I like how he sees me. Obsession creating nicknames also work because they create private emotional territory between you and her. They become a signal of closeness and trust. When you use a nickname that no one else uses, she perceives it as something intimate. It becomes a small but powerful symbol of connection. She starts waiting for you to say it again. She notices when you don't say it. She begins associating that nickname with emotional moments shared with you. Another key difference is timing. Playful nicknames can be used casually and frequently. Obsession creating nicknames must be used at the right moment, moments when she's soft, open, vulnerable, or flirtatious. These timings amplify the emotional effect. When used with sensitivity and awareness, the nickname becomes a part of her emotional landscape. Playful nicknames make her smile. Obsession creating nicknames make her feel. When a nickname makes her feel deeply, she doesn't forget the man who gave it to her. Forbidden nicknames are powerful because they aren't meant for every moment or every woman. They carry emotional weight, subtle intimacy, and a sense of exclusivity that strengthens attraction only when used with the right timing and energy. These nicknames aren't typical, and that's exactly why they work. Women hear the same generic compliments repeatedly, but a forbidden nickname stands out instantly. It feels personal, unexpected, and emotionally charged. To use them effectively, you must understand why each one works and when it lands the strongest impact. Trouble is one of the most flirtatious, feminine triggering nicknames because it mixes challenge with playfulness. When you call her trouble, you're not accusing her of anything negative. You're highlighting the spark she brings into your life. It tells her she's unpredictable, exciting, and capable of affecting your mood in ways others cannot. This nickname works best when she teases you, challenges you, or does something mischievous, whether intentionally or naturally through her personality. Saying it with a calm, amused tone shifts the entire dynamic instantly. It turns the moment into a private, emotional interaction and makes her feel like the chemistry between you isn't just felt, it's acknowledged. Little One is a nickname that awakens softness in a woman. It's not about physical size, it's about energy. When she's acting cute, shy, vulnerable, or emotionally open, Little One taps into her feminine desire to feel protected and cherished. Most women don't admit it, but feeling small in a man's presence, emotionally, not physically, makes them feel safe. This nickname works when she's sharing something personal, when she's emotionally delicate, or when she leans into a softer side of herself. Using it with warmth and gentle confidence makes her melt internally because it shows that you see her vulnerability and hold it without judgment. Pretty girl carries a sweetness that most men overlook. Women hear beautiful so often that it has lost its uniqueness. Pretty girl, on the other hand, feels intimate, delicate, and soft. It taps into her feminine innocence rather than her appearance alone. This nickname works when she's dressed casually, when she looks cute without trying, or when she gives you a smile that feels unguarded. The emotional impact of Pretty Girl is that it makes her feel effortlessly attractive in your eyes. It isn't sexual or intense, it's tender. That tenderness creates emotional safety, which builds attachment faster than bold compliments ever could. My favorite is a nickname that instantly triggers exclusivity. It implies that she stands out without you directly stating it. Women are extremely sensitive to their ranking in a man's emotional world. When you call her my favorite, even casually, you activate a powerful desire in her to maintain that position. This nickname works best during playful moments when she's doing something cute, impressive, or uniquely her. The key is subtlety. Deliver it as if it's obvious and natural. That effortless confidence is what makes her believe it. She'll replay the moment in her mind later, wondering what makes her stand out to you and why she holds that place in your life. Wild One taps into the passionate side of femininity, the part she often hides. This nickname tells her that you see her fire, unpredictability, or intensity, and you're not intimidated by it. Many women are afraid of being too much, so when a man acknowledges their wild energy with admiration, it feels liberating. Use Wild One when she's being bold, playful, expressive, or emotionally intense. The nickname makes her feel understood in ways most men never take time to notice. It tells her she doesn't need to tone herself down around you, and that emotional acceptance is extremely attractive. Each forbidden nickname works because it speaks directly to feminine psychology, the desire to feel chosen, seen, safe, understood, or exciting. When used with the right timing and tone, these names become emotional triggers she associates only with you. The nickname becomes a private world, a spark of chemistry, and a reminder of how you make her feel without ever having to explain it. Most men don't realize that nicknames can either strengthen attraction or silently destroy it. A nickname is powerful only when it aligns with masculine confidence, emotional awareness, and timing. When misused, it can make a woman uncomfortable, disinterested, or even turned off without her saying a single word. Understanding the common mistakes men make is essential if you want your nickname to create emotional depth rather than discomfort. Women are extremely sensitive to tone, intention, and emotional energy, so even a small slip in delivery can shift her perception of you completely. One of the biggest mistakes men make is using a nickname too early. When you give her a nickname before she feels emotionally open or comfortable with you, it feels forced. Women need connection, warmth, and rapport before a nickname feels natural or welcome. If she hasn't shown playfulness, softness, or emotional availability yet, using a nickname can make you appear overeager or intrusive. This is especially true for intimate or forbidden nicknames. They are meant for moments when she has already emotionally invested, even subtly. When a nickname is delivered before she's ready, she experiences it as pressure rather than charm. Another common mistake is using nicknames too frequently. Even the most powerful nickname loses its emotional impact if repeated too often. Overuse makes it feel generic and habitual rather than intentional and special. Nicknames work because they create emotional spikes, subtle but strong moments that make her feel seen and chosen. When a nickname becomes repetitive, it becomes noise. The mystery disappears, the emotional response weakens. Women instinctively value scarcity, and nicknames are no exception. When used sparingly and at the right moments, a nickname becomes a trigger. When used constantly, it becomes background static. Tone is another area where many men go wrong. A nickname delivered with needy energy, nervousness, insecurity, or overexcitement immediately loses its power. Women don't just hear your words, they feel your emotional state behind them. If your nickname is used as a way to seek validation, get approval, or accelerate intimacy, she senses that. It creates the opposite effect of attraction because it shifts the emotional frame. Instead of leading, you're asking. Instead of grounding the energy, you're pulling from her. The strongest nicknames come from a calm, controlled, confident masculine tone, not a needy one. Men also misunderstand the purpose of nicknames by using sexually charged ones too soon. Sexual nicknames should never appear early because they create discomfort and suspicion. Women interpret premature sexual language as a sign of impatience or objectification. Forbidden nicknames and obsession building nicknames are emotional, not explicit. They create intimacy without stepping into inappropriate territory. When a nickname crosses that boundary too early, it breaks trust instead of building it. Attraction grows when she feels emotionally safe, not when she feels pressured or judged. Another mistake is choosing a nickname that doesn't fit her personality or energy. A nickname only works when it aligns with the way she expresses her femininity. If she's soft and shy, calling her something wild or intense feels mismatched. If she's bold and expressive, calling her something overly delicate feels insincere. Women can feel immediately when a nickname isn't attuned to them. It makes her feel misunderstood, which weakens attraction. The right nickname should reflect something real in her, something she shows you through her behavior, tone, or emotional patterns. Some men also switch nicknames too often. This creates confusion instead of connection. A nickname becomes powerful when it becomes an emotional anchor, something she associates with you consistently. Changing nicknames frequently makes it look like you're trying too hard or searching for something that sticks. Women respond deeply to consistency because it makes them feel safe and grounded. One strong nickname used with intention is far more effective than 5 weak ones used randomly. Lastly, men ruin the effect of nicknames when they use them without emotional awareness. Timing is everything in feminine psychology. The same nickname can make her melt in one moment and make her feel nothing in another. Nicknames work best during moments of softness, playfulness, vulnerability, or emotional openness. When you pay attention to her emotional state, your nickname feels natural and well timed. When you ignore it, the nickname feels disconnected and loses its emotional power. Nicknames are tools of emotional influence, not fillers for conversation. The moment you use them without presence, intention, or awareness is the moment they stop working the way you want them to. At the end of the day, the power of these forbidden nicknames isn't actually in the words themselves, it's in the psychology behind how you use them. Each nickname creates a different emotional response in her, whether it's curiosity, comfort, desire, safety, or the feeling of being chosen. And when a woman feels all of that from you consistently, she naturally becomes more invested, more attentive, and more connected. Remember, women don't obsess over men who try too hard. They obsess over men who know how to communicate value through subtle actions, controlled mystery, and intentional words. These nicknames work only when backed by confidence, emotional intelligence, and consistency. Use them the right way, in the right moments, and you will notice her energy shift, her tone soften, her presence increase, and her attachment deepen in ways you didn't expect. This is how influence is built, how attraction grows, and how a woman starts seeing you as someone she simply can't ignore, replace, or walk away from.